There is a place between two rivers where the land is very flat and the sky is very large, where the earth is dark and rich and was made over thousands of years by the rivers themselves carried down from the mountains in the north and laid here in this vast plain in layer after layer of silt and possibility, where the air in the evening carries the smell of the water and the smell of the turned earth and the smell of reed fires burning at the edge of the marshes, and where the stars, when they come in their full number over a horizon that has nothing to interrupt it for as far as the eye can reach. We are going there now. Let the weight of the day settle out of the body. Let the breath find its own pace. Let the sounds of wherever you are begin to soften, to recede, to be replaced gradually by the sounds of a much older place, the movement of slow water, the distant call of a night bird over the marshes, the low murmur of a city that has been alive for 4,000 years and is, tonight, beginning to sleep. There is no hurry. The rivers have been patient since before memory. The city has been here longer than its own oldest stories, and tonight it will receive you, quietly, in the warm dark. The river is the first thing. You smell it before you see it, that particular combination of water and mud, and the vegetable richness of the reeds that grow along its banks in dense masses, their tall stems moving in the night air in slow, collective gestures. The smell is ancient and honest. It is the smell of the ground that feeds everything here, of the water that makes the ground what it is, of the cycle that has been completing itself in this place since the first person arrived on this flat land and understood what the rivers were offering. The path along the river's edge is worn to bare earth. Not stone here, the great stone-fitted roads of mountain cities are unknown in this flat country, where stone must be brought from very far away and is therefore precious and reserved for particular uses. The path is simply earth, packed by years of feet, the grass worn away on either side to leave a smooth channel of dark soil that your feet find naturally, that guides you with the same reliability as fitted stone, but more gently, more organically, as though the land itself has decided that this is where the walking should happen. The river moves beside you, dark and wide. It is not a fast river. This far from the mountains, this far into the flat plain, the river has given up whatever urgency it carried in the highlands and has become something else, slow, deliberate, immensely heavy with the silt it carries, the brown weight of the mountains dissolved into its water over its long journey. Its surface at night reflects the sky in a way that darker, faster water does not. A broad mirror, imperfect but suggestive, the stars appearing in it as smeared and luminous shapes, the sky brought down to the level of the ground. You walk alongside it for a time. The reeds on the far bank are very still. Their tips catch a faint breath of air and release it without disruption, the whole mass of them moving together in the smallest possible way. A collective breathing. Somewhere deep in the reed beds, a frog calls once and is silent, then another, further away, then silence again, and the river's movement, and your feet on the packed earth of the path. The city is ahead of you. You can feel it rather than see it, a warmth in the air, a complexity of smells overlaid on the river's honest scent, the faint glow above the horizon that comes from many fires gathered in one place. A low sound too, at the edge of hearing, not loud, not distinct, but present. The collective murmur of a large number of lives in close proximity, even in the late hours when most of them are winding down. You move toward it. The city wall arrives in the dark as a mass rather than a line. It is enormous. This is the first thing, simply the scale of it, the way it rises from the flat ground without warning or gradation, a vertical fact in a horizontal world. The mud brick of which it is made is the same color as the earth around it, which should make it difficult to see at night, but it is so large that it creates its own darkness against the sky, a zone where the stars are absent, where the sky ends and the wall begins. A human thing, made at a scale that competes with the landscape. The wall has been built and rebuilt many times. You can sense this in its surface, in the way the courses of brick shift slightly here and there, in the variations in texture that indicate different periods of construction, different hands, different urgencies. Cities at the center of contested plains need their walls maintained. They know this. The knowledge is baked into the civic memory, the way the brick is baked in the sun. The gate is lit by fires in iron baskets mounted on posts on either side. The flames are generous, larger than the oil lamps of other cities, befitting the scale of everything here. They throw a warm, leaping light across the gate's face, across the figures carved in relief on either side of the entrance, great winged figures, part human and part animal. Their faces forward-looking, their posture neither welcoming nor threatening, but simply present, attendant. The guardians of a threshold that has been crossed by enough people over enough centuries that the stone at its base has been worn to a shallow concavity, a bowl of stone made by accumulated passage. You pass between the winged figures. They do not look at you. They look straight ahead, into the night, into whatever they have always been looking at. Their faces are worn, but composed. Their wings, even in stone, suggest not the capacity for flight so much as the capacity for stillness, the stillness of something that does not need to move, because it has already arrived at where it needs to be. Inside the gate, the city opens. The main avenue is wide enough for 2 carts to pass each other, with room to spare. At this hour it holds no carts, no animals, no commerce, only the long perspective of its length, lamplit at intervals by fires on tripods spaced along its edges, the flames eating the oil in their basins with the slow contentment of fires well fed and properly sheltered from the wind. The smoke from them rises straight up in the still night air, thin columns of grey dissolving into the dark above before they reach any height. The buildings on either side of the avenue are mud brick. Everything here is mud brick, the universal material of this flat and riverine world, where stone is rare and clay is everywhere, where the riverbanks are an inexhaustible supply of the raw material from which bricks are shaped in wooden molds and set out to dry in the sun, and then stacked, with mud for mortar, into the walls and arches and platforms that constitute the built environment of this civilization. Mud brick is warm to the touch. It is the color of the earth it came from. It absorbs heat during the day and releases it slowly at night, and the walls here, running your hand along one as you walk, carry that warmth still the day's sun stored and being slowly given back to the night air. The walls of the larger buildings along the avenue are decorated, not painted, worked in relief, patterns pressed into the wet brick before it dried, geometric sequences that repeat along the building's face in horizontal bands, the same elements recombined in slightly different arrangements, variation within repetition, the visual language of a civilization that understood that order and pattern are forms of meaning. Some of the walls show the ghosts of older decoration beneath the current surface places, where the plaster has cracked or fallen away to reveal the brick beneath, which carries its own older patterns, the record of an earlier surface now superseded. You walk slowly along the avenue. Your footsteps are quiet on the packed earth of the street. The tripod fires cast your shadow ahead of you, and then behind you as you pass each one, the shadow swinging in a long arc, darkening the ground before you, and then retreating as the next fire takes over. You are accompanied by your own shadow, elongated and simplified, a dark suggestion of yourself moving across the ancient street. The avenue leads, after some distance, to a raised platform. The platform is the center of the city in a way that is physical. Before it is symbolic, it rises from the flat ground on all sides, its stepped face visible from a distance as a geometric interruption of the horizon, the most vertical thing in a landscape that otherwise refuses verticals. Stairs ascend its face in a broad central flight, their edges worn in the center where the traffic has been greatest, their sides relatively sharp where fewer feet have traveled. You climb. With each step upward, the city spreads further around you. The avenue behind you lengthens in perspective. The other streets and districts become visible as patterns of darker and lighter in the lamplight, the residential areas with their smaller, closer packed buildings, the market district where the storage structures are larger and lower, the river visible at the city's western edge as a band of reflected sky. Near the top of the platform, you pause and turn. The city at night, seen from this height, is a field of small fires, each household with its hearth, each public space with its tripod lamps, each gate and market and temple approach with its fires in their baskets. From up here, they are simply lights, scattered across the dark ground in the patterns of streets and plazas, the human geography of this place, made visible by the fires that warm and light it. It is beautiful in the way that evidence of habitation is always beautiful when seen from a sufficient distance, the abstract beauty of many lives gathered in one place, each one warm in the dark. You turn back and continue upward. At the summit of the platform, a temple. The temple at the top of the great platform is smaller than its setting suggests. After the climb, after the vast platform, after the city spread below, the temple itself is almost modest, a single room, its entrance framed by two thick columns, its interior lit by oil lamps set in niches along the walls. The scale is human. The proportions are human. After the enormity of the platform beneath it, the temple feels like a held breath, a concentration, a place where what has been gathered across the whole wide city is compressed into a single intimate space. You enter. The lamps in the niches burn steadily. There is no wind here, the walls are thick, and the entrance faces away from the prevailing direction, and the interior air is still, almost pressurized in its stillness, as though the air itself has been composed and arranged. The smell is of lamp oil, and of something resinous, a tree resin burned ceremonially, its smoke long since dissipated, but its presence still in the walls, in the cedar beams that span the ceiling, in the particular quality of the air that has been scented this way for many generations. Cedar, the cedar has come from far away from the mountains of the north and west, carried down to this treeless plain by trade and by the particular conviction of a civilization that knows what it lacks and organizes itself to obtain it. The cedar beams overhead are precious in a way that stone beams elsewhere are not. They represent distance and relationship and the extended network of exchange that allows a city on a flat river plain to have, at the top of its greatest structure, the smell of mountain forests. You sit on the floor of the temple. The floor is smooth clay, burnished to a slight sheen by the feet and the care of many years. It is cool beneath you, the coolness of deep shade, a temperature that the thick walls have maintained through the day's heat, and that now, in the night, is simply the room's own temperature. As characteristic of this space as its smell or its silence, the lamps in the niches throw soft light up the walls and across the ceiling. The ceiling with its cedar beams is beautiful in this light. The grain of the wood, old and darkened with age and smoke, runs in long parallel lines that the lamplight picks out and emphasizes, turning the ceiling into something that resembles, in the dim and warm light, the surface of slow water, the same horizontal linearity, the same sense of depth, the same quality of being both a surface and a suggestion of something beneath it. You look up at it for a long time. There is a window in the temple's eastern wall, narrow and high. Too narrow to enter through, too high to look out of without standing, but from where you sit, you can see through it a vertical sliver of sky. Stars in the sliver. A precise few, the ones that happen to fall within that narrow angle of view, framed by the mud brick on either side as carefully as any image is framed by its border. 3 stars, perhaps 4, depending on the moment and the clarity of the air. The people who built this window knew which stars would be visible through it and when. They built windows with purpose here. They built openings that aligned with the positions of stars at significant moments in the agricultural year, with the rising of particular planets, with the first light of particular mornings. The window was not for ventilation or for view. It was for observation, for the maintenance of the calendar, for the ongoing conversation between the city's knowledge and the sky's behavior. Through this window, for generations, someone watched. You watch now through the same narrow frame, and the stars in it are the same stars, in their same positions relative to this window as they were when someone first cut this opening in the mud brick wall and aligned it with what they knew to be there. The sky has shifted over the centuries. The stars are not quite where they were, the slow wobble of the Earth's axis having moved them slightly over the long years. But they are close enough that looking through this window, you are looking along the same line of sight as the people who built it, sharing their angle on the same dark sky. This is a kind of conversation across time. You sit in it for a while. Quietly, you descend the platform by a different stair than the one you climbed, a narrower one on the northern face, more functional, less ceremonial, used by the people who maintain the temple rather than by those who visit it. These stairs have a working quality. Their edges are less worn in the center than the main stairs, worn instead at the sides where hands have trailed against the platform's face for balance on the steeper descent. You trail your hand the same way, and the mud brick is rough and worn and slightly granular, the surface releasing a fine dust of dried clay that settles on your palm like the memory of the river that made it. At the base of the platform, a different district of the city opens. The residential streets here are narrow and close, the buildings on either side pressing in until the sky overhead is reduced to a channel, a corridor of dark blue between rooflines. The air in these streets is different from the avenue, more layered, more intimate, holding within it the residue of the day's cooking and the smoke of many small hearths and the particular mixture of smells that belongs to a densely inhabited place. Human and animal and vegetable, all compressed together into something that is not unpleasant, but is complex, that requires a moment to settle into. The doors of the houses are low, not because the people are small, because low doors retain heat in winter and keep out the blown dust of dry seasons. Practical architecture, the architecture of a people who understand their climate and build in response to it rather than in spite of it. Through the closed doors, the city sleeps. You can hear it faintly, more felt than heard, the collective quietness of many sleeping bodies, the suspension of the day's activity, the stillness of houses whose fires have burned down and whose inhabitants have found their rest. One house has a small lamp burning in a window niche, visible through the gap in the shutter. A child, perhaps, who sleeps better with light, or someone who woke in the night and hasn't quite found their way back to sleep. The lamp is small, and its flame is at the bottom of its oil, burning with the blue-tinged quality of a flame running low, uncertain, the light it casts barely reaching the edges of the niche. But it burns. Someone left it burning, or someone lit it in the night's middle hours, and it is burning still, doing its small, faithful work in the dark interior of a house where the rest of the household sleeps on, unaware of it or grateful for it. You walk on. The market is empty at this hour, but it is not silent. The market district occupies a long open space between two rows of storage buildings, their thick walls keeping cool the grain and oil and dried fish and woven cloth and the many other commodities that move through this city, which is a city of trade as much as it is a city of everything else. The storage buildings are plain and undecorated. They do not need decoration. Their purpose is retention, preservation, the keeping of things safe until they are needed, and their thick walls and narrow windows serve that purpose without requiring any additional beauty. But the market space itself, even empty, carries its daytime life in its surfaces. The ground here is hard-packed from many feet, harder even than the avenue, harder than the residential streets. The surface compression of a space that has received thousands of people on thousands of days, each one adding their weight to the record, tamping the earth down towards some final compacted density. There are stains on the ground, spilled oil, dried to a dark patch, the darker earth where water has been poured many times, the places where animals have stood and been sold and stood again. Along the edges of the market space, the stalls are folded down, simple wooden structures hinged at the base so that the face of the stall folds up and back to close the space when the market day ends, secured with a bar of wood or a length of cord. In this closed position, they are featureless, just the backs of flat wooden panels, the structure that holds them, the cord that secures them. Tomorrow they will open, and the surfaces will be spread with cloth and grain and fish and copper and clay tablets and the 100 other things that this city produces and desires. Tonight they are closed, patient, waiting. You walk the length of the market space slowly, listening. What you hear is the building itself. The stored materials within the storage structures, the faint, indistinct quality of a space that contains abundance, that has within its walls the grain and oil that will feed the city through the seasons to come. You cannot hear this exactly, but you sense it, the way you sense the warmth in a banked hearth, the way you sense the weight of the platform behind you in the dark. A presence, a holding. At the far end of the market space, a gate opens to the river. The river at this point is wider than where the path first brought you alongside it. The city's east to west position means that here, at the market gate, you are seeing the river at its most deliberate, the point where it has been managed most carefully, where stone quays have been constructed along the bank, where the edge between city and water is a line of dressed stone rather than a muddy transition. The quays extend into the river on low platforms, allowing boats to be brought directly alongside without the loading and unloading happening through shallow water. The boats are moored here, reed boats, mostly built from the bundled reeds of the marsh banks, their hulls curved upward at bow and stern in the shape that reed boats have taken in this place for as long as there have been people to build them. They are lighter than they appear, and they ride high in the water, their displacement shallow, their motion on the river's slow current a gentle rocking, the bow lifting and settling, lifting and settling, as though the boat is breathing. The sound of the boats against the quay is soft. The reed hull against the stone is a sound without hardness, a compression, a yielding, the soft percussion of a material that will give rather than resist. Each time the river's movement brings the boat against the quay, this sound. Each time the river relaxes and the boat drifts back, silence, and then the sound again. Patient and repeated, unhurried. The rhythm of a conversation between the river and the city that has been going on since the first quay was built here and the first boat was tied to it for the night. You sit on the edge of the quay. Your feet hang above the water, close enough to feel the coolness that rises from the river's surface, without touching the water itself. The river moves below you, enormous and dark, carrying its silt load toward the sea in the south, doing what it has always done, the slow transportation of the mountains to the plain, the building of the land that the city stands on, the continued making of this world. The stars are in the river too, down here at the quay, larger than they appeared in the stone basin of the mountain city, more diffuse, their reflections spread by the river's movement into wobbling columns of light that lengthen and contract and lengthen again as the surface shifts. The river does not hold the sky the way still water holds it. It interprets the sky. It takes the stars and translates them into something more fluid, more alive, less fixed. The same stars made restless by the water's motion, made various, made into something that moves when the real stars do not. You watch the sky in the river. A boat comes, From upstream, from somewhere in the dark to the north, a small boat moving on the river's current, a single figure in it, sitting low, using a long pole to steer rather than to propel the river itself, providing the propulsion. The pole used only to keep the boat in the central channel, away from the shallows. The figure does not look at you. They are looking ahead, toward the quay, toward the mooring that is their destination. The boat approaches slowly. You watch it come. The figure in it is patient and practiced, making small adjustments with the pole, the boat tracking down the center of the river with the ease of long familiarity. They have done this many times in the dark. They know this river in the night, its currents and its shallows, and the way the lights of the quay look when you are approaching from upstream, and how far you are when those lights look a certain way. The boat reaches the quay, and the figure brings it alongside with a single movement, a push of the pole against the quay's stone face that brings the reed hull gently in, and then a hand reaching for the mooring line and tying it, the knot made in the dark without looking, the fingers knowing the steps so completely that no light is required. The figure sits for a moment in the tied boat, the river still moving around them. Then they stand, step up onto the quay, and walk away into the city without looking back. The boat rocks gently in the tied position, adjusting to the river's movement, settling into the rhythm of its mooring. The pole is shipped along the hull, its end dripping onto the bottom of the boat in slow drops. The mooring line pulls taut as the current takes the bow, slackens as the boat swings, pulls taut again. The quay is quiet. The river moves. You stay at the quay until the night has fully composed itself around you. This is the deep hour past the middle of the night, closer to the small hours that precede the turning toward dawn. The city is completely still now. The fires on the avenue have burned lower, their light diminished, but not gone. The market is closed and silent. The temple on its platform is dark, except for the lamp niches that burn through the night. The storage buildings hold their grain and their oil, and their abundance in the patient dark. And the river continues. It does not know about the night, or the day, or the city, or the sleeping people. It knows only the gradient, the slow downward pull, toward the south, toward the sea, the simple physics of water finding its level, the tireless work of moving from where it is to where it must eventually be. It has been doing this since before the city existed on its banks, since before there were people to watch it, since the mountains that feed it were formed and the plain that receives it was settled into its current flatness. The river will be here when the city is not. This is not a melancholy thought. It is simply a perspective, the perspective that sitting beside very old water in the middle of a very old night naturally offers. The river's indifference to time is not cold. It is simply vast. It is simply what the river is, what it has always been, what it will be long after tonight's stars have completed their arc, and the dawn has come, and the market has opened, and the boats have gone out, and the city has resumed its daily work. You are sitting at the edge of something very large and very patient. And that is enough. The path back through the city is quieter than the path coming. Or perhaps you are quieter, having received everything the city has offered tonight, carrying it now not as information or as image, but as something more bodily, more interior, the warmth of the mud brick walls, the smell of the cedar beams, the sound of the reed boat against the stone quay, the stars in the river. The residential streets receive your footsteps and return them in the muffled way of streets where everyone is sleeping. The avenue accepts you back with its tripod fires. Lower now, the oil almost exhausted, the flames more intimate in their diminishment, burning at half their earlier height, but still faithful, still present, still doing what they were lit to do, even as the fuel for it runs low. You walk to the center of the avenue and stop. The city is around you in every direction. The platform and its temple at one end, the river gate at the other, the residential districts filling in both sides, the market behind you, the great wall encircling all of it. You are at the center of the center. You are in the place the city has been built around. The air is warm, not the warmth of fire, though the fires contribute, but the warmth of accumulated mud brick, of all those walls that have held the day's heat and are giving it back to the night. The city is warm from the inside, heated by its own material, sustained by the thermal mass of 10,000 brick walls, all performing the same slow exchange with the air around them. You breathe in the warm air. You breathe in the lamp oil and the cedar residue, and the river and the grain, and the reed fires at the edge of the marshes, and the particular mix of everything this city is and has been and continues to be. There is a small courtyard between two buildings near the center of the avenue. You find it through an opening that is easy to miss a gap between two walls, barely wider than a doorway, opening into a square of space, not much larger than a room, but roofless, open to the sky, with a low bench running along one wall and a clay pot in the corner, from which the smell of something herbal drifts faintly into the night airtime, perhaps, or something like it, a dried plant steeped in water and left to continue steeping slowly in the cool of the night. You sit on the bench. The clay pot smells of the herb and of old fired clay and of water, all three together, the combination particular and good. The bench is mud brick, coped with a piece of fired clay tile, and the tile is smooth and slightly cool against the back of your legs. The walls of the courtyard hold the night in, or hold you in the night, which is the same thing approached from a different direction. The sky above the courtyard is a square of deep blue. Not black blue, the specific blue of the deep night at this latitude, this hour, this particular configuration of atmosphere and starlight. The stars visible in this square of sky are the ones that happen to be overhead at this moment in this place, which is to say, a specific and unrepeatable arrangement. This exact grouping of lights existing in this exact relationship only now, only tonight, only from this courtyard. You look at them. The tiredness comes now, completely and without resistance. It is the tiredness that comes at the end of something whole, a night walked through, from arrival to deep hour, a city received in its fullness, a river watched until it told you what it had to tell. The body knows when it has received enough. It does not argue or resist. It simply begins its descent, its gentle downward movement into rest, the weight increasing, the eyes growing soft, the sounds around you becoming less distinct, more interior, more like the sounds inside sleep than the sounds outside it. The herbs smell from the clay pot, the low warmth of the mud brick walls, the square of blue sky overhead with its particular stars. Somewhere beyond the courtyard walls, the river, moving always southward, patient and indifferent and sustaining. Somewhere beyond the river, the marshes and the reed fires at their edge, and the reed beds in the dark, and the birds in the reed beds, and all the living dark of the vast flat plain between the rivers, extending to the horizon in every direction, extending further than you can hold in the mind. The great agricultural richness of this land that the rivers made and continue to make, field after field of its sleeping in the dark. The city around you, sleeping, the wall around the city, holding, the plain around the wall, breathing, the rivers on either side, moving, the stars above everything, burning in their patient permanence. And you in a small courtyard between two mud brick walls, on a bench coped with fired clay, with the smell of herbs in the night air, and the whole ancient world gathered around you in its deep and faithful rest. Let the breath slow now. Let it find its own pace, deeper and slower than waking breath, the breath that belongs to the territory between waking and sleeping, the breath that the body knows how to make when you stop instructing it and let it remember what it has always known. The bench is solid beneath you. The walls are warm. The stars are there, above the square of courtyard sky, doing what they always do, what they were doing when the first bricks were made in this place and pressed into molds and set out to dry in the sun. what they will be doing long after the last brick has returned to the earth it came from. The two rivers move through the dark. They have been moving since before there was anyone to name them. They will move long after the last name given to them has been forgotten. They move now, tonight, on either side of this city, carrying the mountains south toward the sea, building the land that the city stands on, sustaining the fields that feed the city, doing all of this without interruption and without effort, the way the body breathes without interruption and without effort when you let it. You are breathing like the rivers. Slowly, continuously, without trying, the herbs smell in the air, the warm walls, the clay pot with its steeped water, giving its scent to the night without being asked. The river's sound, which is not a sound you can hear from here, but which is present nonetheless, as a quality of the air, as a temperature, as the knowledge of water moving in the dark, not far from where you sit. Let the eyes close. Let the bench hold you. Let the walls hold the bench. Let the city hold the walls. Let the plain hold the city. Let the rivers hold the plain. Let the night hold the rivers. And let yourself go, without effort, without intention, downward into the warm and patient dark, into the rest that is as old as the rivers, into the sleep that the flat land has been offering to the people who live on it since the first person lay down in the rich dark earth beside the water, and let the sound of the river carry them under. The rivers are moving. The stars are burning. The city is breathing in its sleep. And you are held, completely, in the warm and ancient dark, between the rivers, beneath the stars. Sleep now.